What's up, fellow Vanguard nerds? I'm Babblerab, and this is the last deck profile of Christmas deck profile Blitz. Christmas deck profile Blitz, because it's clearly going to be probably posted in like the next day or two. So we got that going for us, and that's doing pretty well. So basically, due to slightly laziness and due to like literally everyone I know getting Call of Duty Black Ops and us just doing nothing but zombies for the past few days, plus some unforeseen things that occurred, which I'm not going to say, family things. I've been a bit slow on getting these out to the point that I only was able to get 3 done before Christmas. So, you know, we got that going for us. Pretty good. So, primarily it was due to getting distracted and playing zombies with friends, but whatever. So this will be the last deck. It'll be posted whenever it gets posted. I'm going to make my goal to get it posted by New Year's. Ideally, it'll be posted by today. So, yeah. It's a Nubatama hand control, pretty much a homebrew idea for the most part, kind of just like me splashing together everything I could find that would do something to my opponent's hand, and then basically making a deck out of it. So it's a lot of fun, got some good early game pressure if you get the right hand, and it makes people sad face. Like, one of my friends was playing their Gaia deck against us, and I was like, are you happy? He's like, no, I'm sad. So yeah, our starter is Kuroko, and then we have another grade 0, which is Kamajagusa. So basically, Kuroko is when it hits Soul Blast 1, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their bind zone, puts it to the drop zone. You're playing 4 Fuki, 4 Tamahagane, so you can put stuff into their bind zone really early in the game. And then Kamajagusa is just there as an alternative non-on-hit card. I was debating on playing double Kuroko, and I ordered 3 more. So I've got 4 currently if I want to play 4. But this is currently the ratio, and then you also get the extra counter charge in this deck, so that's good too. But yeah. So, early game hand pressure is phenomenal with this, especially when you combo with Tamahagane, they get like really sad face. And then this you would rather see coming into your hand rather than having to figure out how to get it off the field. So yeah, and this got a huge target on itself, so if they have any retire effects, you lose your Kuroko instead of your Kamajagusa. So I guess that's a good. Then we got Zakishihime. Just play this one. I didn't have enough spares. I have all 4 in my dominant deck right now, so I didn't have room to put them into this deck. But yeah, just play the Fighters Collection one with the skill if you want. So yeah, and then these are my original old school heal triggers when I first started playing Nubatama. Oh, and this guy right here was half the reason to actually play the deck. So the trigger ratio is 12 crit, because my goal is to, well, you have very few cards in hand, I'm gonna just like crit you, and then you're just gonna go up to huge amounts of damage, and then when I actually start doing some of my plays of mid game, you won't have any. You'll be at such high damage, you'll have like almost nothing to guard you with. So, and then that'll start going to the point where like 2 damage actually is a kill rather than 2 damage puts you up to 5. So yeah, but yeah, this is half the reason why I built this deck. Was because of this guy. Throw him to your soul counter charge 1, and the reason why he's so good is because can the camera autofocus? I think it can. But yeah, the reason why he's so good is because this deck uses a lot of counterblast very quickly, so it makes things a lot easier when you have the counterblast available, and he provides the counterblast. And then you got another 8 crits. Just play 4 Noroi. Again, most of my dominate stuff has all of my best Nubatama generics in it at the moment, so yeah. So 4 of the unflipping crit, 4 other crits you don't actually care at the moment, and then 4 Noroi is what I would recommend. So yeah. And just because the Noroi boosts up your Shirinu, it makes it a little stronger, so it's easier to hit with. And then my dominant deck, I've taken out Utsuroi because I found that I've added Utsuroi. Sorry, not cut out. I've added it because I found that the unflipping PG was, while doing a fair amount, was a lot more utilized in this deck, and I didn't find it was super necessary either. And I may put the horse demon dragon in there. So yeah. We put Kurane back into our traditional Nubatamas because this deck does need the counterblast far more than Dominate does. So that's pretty much all I can really say about that. Kurane is the unflipping PG. And then we got 1, 2, 3 Kataragitsune original artwork again because I've invested in Nubatama heavily. Yeah, 3's good. You could cut a grade 3, cut him down to cut him up to 4, but the thing is, you want to be playing 4 Shiranui, and then this other grade 3 I'm running, you want to be playing 4 of that, solely due to the fact he's a great rearguard card, so Kataragitsune is kind of good at 3 in this deck. One card I do want to try to bump up to 3, though, is Dreadmaster, which I may cut my other grade 3 down to 3 down to him. So 7 grade 3s in total instead of 8. Because Dreadmaster is really good in the early game due to the on-hit pressure. And then if you have the spare counterblast with Fuki, or if you've taken a card out of their hand with Fuki and then you swing with Dreadmaster, they're going to want to guard that attack even more. And then I am playing enough cards that basically the bind sets up the soft discard, I will say. And then you have Agitamaru and Kuroko to go and like solidify the card being gone from their hand. So Dreadmaster is just like another way to apply additional pressure if you don't have Fuki. So I may want to bump them up to 3. And then we got 4 copies of Fuki. This is like the freaking ace of the deck because snipes a random card of your opponent's hand in the early game. Kuroko goes and puts it into your drop zone, or Agitamaru. So it takes a random card out. Could be that grade 3 they need to ride. So if that's bound face down, and then you've got like an Agitamaru, something with a Kuroko behind it, plus maybe another Agitamaru, and you're swinging at their Vanguard, they're going to be losing cards from your hand to get that grade 3 ride back, or like whatever card they may need. So this card can really snipe some vital cards out of the opponent's hand, which makes it really, really good. And it's pretty much the heart and soul of the early game for this deck, because it goes directly after the hand. And it's also part of the reason why, and as a result of that, it's also kind of why I want to run through Dreadmaster, just so that I've got 7 cards in the early game that can pressure the opponent's hand, as opposed to just 6. So, yeah. Dreadmaster's still really good, though. And then we got 3 Miyabi. Again, take a random card of the opponent's hand if it's boosted. If you have less cards in your hand than your opponent. And, yeah. So, again, with the way this deck is now playing, you have Kuroko, you have Kamijagusa. Mostly, you're going to have a Agitamaru and Kuroko. So, as long as they stay on the field and they're hitting, after this one plus Fuki has used its skill, then you're just smiling and it's like a party. So, yeah. Miyabi's really good, too, because she can hit fairly decent-sized numbers. I do play 3 instead of 4 because I do want a bit more of a focus on early game in this deck as opposed to a late game. Then we got 4 Agitamaru and 4 Tamahagane. So, Agitamaru, as with Kuroko, is pretty much like the entirety of the bind zone pressure engine of the deck, whereas Tamahagane, in addition to Miyabi, Fuki, and Miyabi and Fuki, are the put stuff into the bind zone. So this guy in the early game can take your opponent's starter that they may need, and then Agitamaru plus like Kuroko could go and put that into the drop zone. So really good there. Like the whole idea of this deck was to force the opponent to lose-lose situations all game, where it's I take a card out of my hand, or I use a card from my hand to guard that I don't want to use because I need the other card that was put into the bind zone. I have lost 6 cards in my hand from Sukumorikin. Oh no, now 3 of them are permanently gone. Like that's the whole gimmick of the deck, is as long as you have nothing in your bind zone, I'm not scary. The moment you have something in your bind zone, that could be gone permanently now. So that's the whole goal of this deck, is to basically force cards into the opponent's bind zone and then make the binds permanent by putting them into the drop zone. And then for grade 3s, we have put OG Shiranui into his own deck now. He is back in his original hand control build. You want this guy in your Vanguard circle at all times, period. Like before, when I was playing Yozakita Kongo, it was like a backup grade 3 that if I didn't see Shiranui and I want to rush early game, I could take 2 cards out of my opponent's hand by discarding a card, and then he would get 10k, which is good for Kuroko. The downside is, however, he does absolutely nothing on stride, and this whole deck kind of just wants to be doing striding. So we cut Yozakita Kongo, and now we're back to playing Shiranui. Or back to playing Shiranui and this other card, which is really, really old, and I'm insane for running it, and I've got a plan in my mind for why I play it. But it's absurd, so it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. So, yeah. But yeah, so the 4 Shiranui, because it's what you want to see in your grade 3. And then we get to the surprise card, which I don't think any of you ever see coming. 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Voidmaster. Reason being is he is a grade 3 on-hit version of Dreadmaster. So in other words, with this guy plus Dreadmaster, theoretically when I have Sukumorikin on the board, ideally I'm going to be tossing my entire hand on the field, or if I've gotten like taking a card out of your hand with Shiranui, in addition to having Dreadmaster, I can have this guy as a rearguard as well. And then if he hits an attack while on rearguard, he takes a card out of the opponent's hand. And it's not uncommon for me to be throwing everything on my hand, everything's in my hand onto the field to pressure your hand, for the most part. So I will frequently have less cards in hand than the opponent. Therefore, I believe Voidmaster will be good in this deck. I know, it's absolutely absurd. No one has ever used this card to my knowledge in, like, ever. But I feel as though, in theory, he's got a place in this deck. Because, like, for example, you make a play with Shiranui, you have a Voidmaster there. We'll say you've got a Nagitamaru here, who cares? And you got your boost or whatever, right? So you've gone into this guy, he takes a card out of the opponent's hand. You would swing with Voidmaster boosted, which is still 16k line, so still 10k to guard. If he hits, you counterblast, they lose another card from their hand, and then if a Gitamaru hits, they lose a card that was bound, and then this card, Kuroko could take out another bound card. So, I don't know. It's a lot of stuff in theory. This is probably going to be something I'm going to need to playtest a lot, but it's like, it's probably one of the most out there card tech choices ever, solely due to the fact that, oh yeah, he's a 9k grade 3. I'd like to put that out there too. Not 10, not 11, 9k grade 3. So you ride this guy, you're deep shit. Because they can hit unboosted with grade 2s. So there's more incentive to basically always have Shiranui as your vanguard. So if you're in a situation where you've got a Voidmaster in your hand and you've got a Kataragetsune and you don't know if you're going to see a Shiranui, you should be using that Kataragetsune to get that Shiranui, because you do not want to ride Voidmaster ever. So yeah, that's my insane main deck choices. Like for the strangest homebrew deck of all time, which I haven't tested it with Voidmaster. I've tested it with Yosakira Kongo, and I don't know. It is something. I will definitely try to get some games recorded on New Year's, because Kopek and I are going to be probably hanging out that day, so this deck will probably show up on the testing. For the G-Zone, we've got 2 copies of Rakuto Stealth Rogue Kura Lord. She's just a really decent first stride for hand control builds, because less cards in your hand than your opponent. They choose a card from their hand, bind it face down, put it back into their hand. Fine by me. My goal is to try to make those binds permanent anyway, so you're welcome to go and discard more cards from your hand to stop me from taking it. Because of how heavily aggressive this deck is on pressuring the opponent's hand, go figure, we're playing for Otago Lord, which is like the main pressure card of the deck. So if the opponent's deck is not built to generate a huge hand, this card can easily get its critical effect off, like, in this deck, as opposed to, like, in past builds where it was like, oh, I'll use this as a finisher. In this case, because I can pressure the hand so frequently, you will be losing cards in your hand, so I can get your hand size down low if everything is working out well. So you don't have to use this guy exclusively just as a finisher in this build, which is nice. And they're playing 2 Mugen Lord because it's generic and dominates the whole field, really, so it's a good pressure card. Depending on, like, maybe how the other cards in the deck work, I may bump him up to 4, because Mugen Lord is a really, really good card, and if you hit late game, like, dominating your opponent's whole field, even in a non-dominate deck, is still a great way to take cards out of their hands. So he could actually replace Otago Lord, depending on how frequently Mugen Lord is better than Otago Lord. So, yeah. But, yeah. 2 so far, because, yeah, just 2. And then we got 1 Makuro. If your opponent's got a whole field and you don't really have anything useful to do, you can just go and blow their entire field up with Makuro instead. You know, as long as they don't have a Vanguard with Lord. You gotta remember that. The whole Lord thing completely screws this deck over. And to an extent, it actually screws over Dominate too with this guy. So, yeah, that kind of sucks, but whatever. But yeah, you play, what's his name? You play the Makuro just because he's there and he can blow up an entire field. Not as important as he is in Dominate, so I only play 1, even though I'm crazy and I play 2 in Dominate. But we play 2 Sycamorican. Because this guy is kind of your pressure play and your attempt to end games. And because of the amount of countercharging the deck now has access to, you can get his effect off more than once rather than just trying to use it to end a game. So, your opponent's got like a card of, we'll say, 16 cards in their hand because they're playing Honorary Professors with Great Nature. Really relevant meta deck, I know. And then you fix their opponent's hand to 4. You have Voidmaster take another card to their hand if he hits. You have, that's not the best example. You have, you throw your whole hand on the board. You have your Miyabi, you've got your Fuki. You use the Fuki, throw them into Soul. Fuki then takes their hand down to 2 cards because you've got a Shiranui's effect to put their hand size at 3. You have no cards in your hand, so Miyabi swings. Miyabi takes them down to 1 card in hand. And then if they're at 5 damage, the game's over. Like, this is, like, why this deck's, like, got a really good matchup against anything that builds a big hand is because you can have your whole deck in your hand. I don't care. I can put you down to 1 card if I have the right combo pieces. I will bind 46 cards from your hand if you have 50 cards in your hand. Bring it. Because Sukumorikan is like the best card ever. And then in the event you hit GB8, this guy's a good hand control card, so you play him, might as well. Counterblast 1 or Soul Blast 1, when your opponent guards with something, they pitch 2 cards in their hand. Have fun. Never got his effect off, but it's really dumb on paper, so you know. Yeah, and then the G-Guards, we got the Zakishihime G-Guard, and then the 2 Dominate G-Guards, and then why do I even bother trying to pronounce these names? Abadatashi, the new one, because you're going to have less cards in your hand than your opponent, ideally, but like the having 6 cards or less card, I don't know. The problem with this deck is that there's times when the 6 or less cards in your opponent's hand guy is better, and there's times when this guy's better. So ideally, my best bet would be to cut one of these guys out, but I don't want to do that because his skill's really awesome, because he can like stop, because of the potential of him being in your G zone, your opponent will play differently in anticipation for him. So he's good at 2 because you have cards you throw into your soul to countercharge 1, and he goes and dominates like a grade 1, which could be sitting at like 10k, 10, 15, 20k power, depending on like what they've done to it. So he's good, she's good. So the question is, where do I take out? So you got to start now looking at the G units and what to take out from that deck. Ideally, I'd like to be playing one of each of these guys just for the different situations, but I have no idea what to take out. So yeah, that is hand control Nubatamas. Like homebrew insanity at its finest, I would say, because Voidmaster. So yeah, if you got any questions about the deck, leave them in the comment section below. And other than that, I'll see you guys when I get those videos recorded on New Year's with Kopek. Crossing my fingers, hoping that'll work. I'm not going to make any promises this time. So yeah, but it should, because I think we probably will. So yeah. Voidmaster, guys. It's all about the Voidmaster. Best card ever. Leave your comments in the comment section below about what you guys think about running Voidmaster and Nubatama decks as well. And I'll see you guys when we record the next video. Peace.